The president was getting on board Marine One in order to depart to Florida for the Thanksgiving holiday, but he stopped to talk to reporters. Just let me bring you a couple of segments of what he had to say. First, on the Fed, the president was asked about today's market sell-off, and he suggested that tech stocks are having a problem, but otherwise, he said he thinks those will come back. And he went on to talk about the Fed and what he sees as a key problem for the market here. Here's what he said.
I'd like to see the Fed with a lower interest rate. I think the rate's too high. I think we have much more of a Fed problem than we have a problem with anyone else.
The president also talking about Saudi Arabia here and that statement that he made earlier today about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, the president refusing to break with Saudi Arabia despite the CIA's reported assessment that MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, was the man who ordered that murder. The president saying earlier today that he doesn't know that that's in fact the case, and he says we may never know. Today, just before departing on Marine One, he added to that and laid out the economic case for not breaking with Saudi Arabia despite that murder. Here's what he said.
We're not going to give up hundreds of billions of dollars in orders and let Russia, China, and everybody else have them. It's all about, for me, very simple. It's America first. Saudi Arabia, if we broke with them, I think your oil prices would go through the roof. I've kept them down. They've helped me keep them down. Right now we have low oil prices, or relatively. I'd like to see it go down even lower. But I think that it's a very simple equation for me. I'm about make America great again, and I'm about America first.
So, Wilfred, the president explaining there the prism that he's dealing with this problem through, and that's economic. It's about orders, it's about oil prices, and the president says ultimately he doesn't want to change the relationship on either of those two fronts, Wilfred.
I know it's the Fed, Eamon, and the president hasn't changed his tune on that, and clearly investors agree with him. We hear that all day long here as well. But people also blame the trade war. Is there any sense that he could at least moderate his tone or approach with President Xi when they meet at G20 because of what's happening with the markets?
Well, we'll have to see, right? I mean, I asked Larry Kudlow that question here on the White House driveway this morning, and I asked if the president sees any responsibility in terms of the market slide that we've seen from his own trade policies. And Kudlow just didn't want to go there. I mean, he said today that he doesn't think there's a recession anywhere on the horizon. He doesn't believe the analysis that the economy, the GDP production is going to slow down next year going into the latter half of the year. And he remained bullish on jobs and the economic performance generally. So this White House is not one that is ready right now to admit that it has a problem in terms of the economy. They are focused on getting a deal here with the Chinese, and I think a lot of folks here believe if they can get that deal, that'll go a long way to taking care of some of these short-term market problems that they're seeing.
Eamon, just quickly, will this latest discussion point on the Khashoggi murder and the let-off for the Saudis, as it were, will that influence the discussions at the G20? If the Saudis can break the rules and get away with it, why can't we, the Chinese, do that?
Sure. I mean, that's one of the questions here. Is the president basically issuing carte blanche to any country that wants to murder journalists so long as it has a lot of economic ties to the United States? I mean, that's going to be the criticism in the immediate aftermath of the president's statement here. And one of the things I'll be watching for in Argentina is Mohammed bin Salman, MBS himself, is said now to be going to Argentina. And the president may in fact encounter him. And so what conditions will the United States put on a meeting with MBS, if any, or will the president happily shake his hand in front of the cameras in Argentina? That's going to be a fascinating moment, along with that Xi Jinping face-to-face, and so many more elements of diplomacy at stake in Argentina.